Hey everyone, welcome back to Intro to DJing, and in this video what I'm going to do is show you how to set dynamic or elastic beat grids in Virtual DJ. Now this is really important in case you're basically dealing with a track where the tempo changes, such as a DJ transition track. Here's a good example. This is a track that goes from 128 to 95 beats per minute. This is what it sounds like. So this is the part at 128. And what this allows you to do as a DJ is mix in at 128 and it'll bring your tempo down to 95 beats per minute. And that's once again where we're at 95. So at that point the track starts. So this would be, as a DJ, you play this track to go from 128 beats per minute to 95 without you needing to do anything super drastic. So as before, what we're going to do is open the BPM editor, except this time what I'm going to do when I click on this button is click reanalyze multiple BPM. And what it's going to try to do is it's going to try to decide where these different BPM changes are. But as you will notice, it doesn't quite get it right sometimes. So we're going to need to do this manually. The first thing we need to do is set our first downbeat at the first tempo. And what I'm going to do is just drag this so it lines up there, and sure enough, we have 128 beats per minute at the beginning as we expect. In fact, that's what we want to see. Now, what happens is it thinks the tempo changes here, do it, baby, stick it, baby, move it. But it's wrong. This is not where the tempo is like this. So what I need to do is go to this point. One of the ways we could do this is just dragging this down and simply add a marker. So I'm going to add a marker here, and it automatically notices this is 95 beats per minute, which is what I want. I'm going to click on this marker and I'm going to just delete it because I don't like what it's done there. So sure enough, it goes from 128 beats per minute. This is a section where it's actually changing tempo, so it doesn't matter too much what it does. And then once again, now it is at 90. So what we can do is check the rest of these points. And sure enough, it's kind of grabbed these points at 90 at different places in the chorus, which is kind of what I want it to do. I'm happy with it doing that because it also adjusts the phrase. Notice how these are 4 beats, but it notices that this is a measure where the downbeat is in the lightest gray, and then beats 2, 3, and 4 get darker and darker. And one of the things it helps to do is once again get towards your output, or get towards the end of your track, sorry, your mix out point, and just see. And what I may do is just type in 95, so it is exact. And you can do that for all these different points. I probably don't need to do that for all of them. In fact, I could probably just delete the rest of these points if I wanted to, like this one and this one, and just make sure that at this point when we have this tempo, this one is locked to 95. So sure enough, by doing that, that's going to ensure that the rest of the track is locked. So now that we've done this, I'm going to go ahead and just close the BPM editor. And if you notice, while I'm playing the track, do it, baby, stick it, baby, move it. It sure enough grabs it to the correct tempo. It notices the change from 128 to 95 throughout the rest of the track, and now we have set the correct beat grid for this track, and now pretty much everything like sync and your phase meter should work. So that's how you set elastic beat grids for transition tracks and things in Virtual DJ. What I would say is if you're working on a track with a real drummer, what can happen quite a bit is your drummer will likely change tempos. So when you're on your BPM editor, you often will what I would do is just create new markers. You can just hit this plus button to create new markers where the tempo changes, and generally what will happen is the drummer will drift but may stay towards a certain tempo at a certain amount of time. So you can use that to sort of grid the track and make sure that the tempo is correct throughout. But for most of these where it changes from one tempo clearly to another, just grid the track at the different tempo changes, and you can look at this sort of the part where the waveform changes to make sure that it's gridded correctly with the correct number of beats. So that's how I would do it. One of the things that I'm noticing here actually is that it's not quite, it didn't recognize this as a downbeat. So what you can do is of course click on this and just do it this way, and sure enough, baby, stick it, baby, move it, baby, lick it, baby, suck up on that kick it. There it goes. So once again, this darkest point is going to be downbeat 1 over here. it's got that as well. So it is pretty much done the gridding for me now that I've set the 2 tempo changes, and it's good to go. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.